If we were to be vigilant, what were we supposed to be vigilant for? By the middle of the 17th century, everyone in Europe had heard so many people accused of being the Antichrist that they were heartily sick of the whole subject, and speculation along those lines became more or less what it is today, the domain of religious cranks. Except among the Laurentians, who quietly developed their own distinctive and unsanctioned Antichrist theology. The Antichrist comes to us from a prophecy of John, who wrote in his first letter, "Children, it is the final hour. You've been told that the Antichrist is coming, and now not one but a multitude of Antichrists have appeared, so there can be no doubt whatever that the final hour is upon us." When this final hour failed to arrive during the lifetime of John's contemporaries, Christians of each succeeding generation looked for signs of the Antichrist in their own era. At first they looked for persecutors of the church. Then, when Roman persecution became a thing of the past, the Antichrist degenerated into a sort of folk-tale monster, a huge, bloody-eyed, donkey-eared, iron-toothed boogeyman. As the Middle Ages wore on and more people became disgusted with ecclesiastical corruption, the papacy itself began to be identified as the Antichrist. Finally, popes and reformers spent a century belaboring each other with the bad name. When the Laurentians, with their special mandate, began to rethink the matter in the centuries that followed, they went all the way back to fundamentals, and took note of the fact that prophecies are seldom literal predictions of future events. Often they're not even recognized as prophecies until they're fulfilled. Numerous examples of this occur in the New Testament, where events in the life of Jesus are described as fulfilling ancient prophecies that were not necessarily understood as prophecies by those who enunciated them. Laurentian theologians reasoned this way: if prophecies about Christ must wait upon their fulfillment to be understood, why shouldn't the same be true of prophecies about Antichrist? In other words, we can't really know what John was talking about until it actually happens. So the Antichrist is almost certain to be different from whatever we imagine him to be. If someone tells you Saddam Hussein is the Antichrist, you're absolutely right to laugh. The Antichrist isn't going to be a worse sort of Hitler or Stalin, because worse than them will just be more of the same in a higher degree, 60 million murdered instead of 6 million. If you're going to be on guard against the Antichrist, and not just some ordinary villain, you have to be on guard against someone of an entirely new order of dangerousness. And that's where things stand at the end of the second millennium. Among the peasantry of our order, the subject of the Antichrist never comes up. At the topmost levels, however, a discreet watch is still kept. Very occasionally, maybe once in 50 years, a worrisome individual pops up, and someone from the order is sent out to have a look. Someone like me. Someone exactly like me. The candidate was one Charles Atterley, a 40-year-old American, a sort of itinerant preacher who had been circling the middle states of Europe for a decade, picking up a large but unorganized following that seemed to defy all demographic sense. It included young and old and everything in between, both sexes in roughly equal numbers, mainstream Christians and Jews, clergy of a dozen different denominations, including the Roman Catholic, atheists, humanists, rabbis, Buddhists, environmentalist radicals, capitalists and socialists, lawyers and anarchists, liberals and conservatives. The only groups notably unrepresented in the mix were skinheads, Bible thumpers, and unrepentant Marxists. Atterley's message seemed difficult to summarize and was typically characterized as mind-boggling by those who were favorably impressed and as incomprehensible by those who weren't. I told Father Lulfra I didn't understand what made him seem dangerous. "What makes him dangerous," he said, "is the fact that no one can place him or his product. He's not selling meditation or Satanism or goddess worship or faith healing or spiritualism or Umbanda or speaking in tongues or any kind of New Age drivel. He's apparently not making money at all, and that's disquieting. You always know what someone's about when he's raking in millions. Atterley's not another example of some familiar model like David Koresh or the Reverend Moon or Madame Blavatsky or Uri Geller. In fact, his presentation and lifestyle are more reminiscent of Jesus of Nazareth than anyone else. And that, too, is disquieting. Well, disquieting, I understand, I said. Dangerous, I don't. People are listening, Jared. Possibly to something quite new. That makes it dangerous. Atterley was presently in Salzburg, Father Loeffler said. I was to go there, listen, watch, hang out, and report back. When I asked who my European contact would be, I was told there would be none. I was to contact no one in the order under any circumstances. I would travel under my own name, making no secret of my priesthood, but not broadcasting it either. I would travel in civilian clothes, as if vacationing. Why doesn't someone in Europe handle this? I asked. Because Atterley's an American. But he's talking to Europeans. Don't be simple, Jared. Europe is just a rehearsal. Whatever else the United States has lost in the last 3 or 4 decades, it's still the world's style setter, and nothing will catch on everywhere unless it catches on here first. Atterley knows this, if he's half as bright as people think he is, and when he's ready for us, he'll be here, count on it. And that's why you're going to Europe. We want to be ready for him before he's ready for us. You seem to be taking him very seriously. Father Loeffler shrugged. If we don't take him seriously, then we might as well not take him at all. After discussing a few mundane matters like travel agencies and credit cards, I got up to leave, a heavy question in my mind causing me to drag my feet. At the door, I finally got it out. And what happens afterward? To me, I mean. He chewed on this for a minute, then asked me what I wanted to happen. I don't know, I said. If you think I'm being wasted at St. Ed's, then what's the plan? Were you thinking I'd go back and waste myself some more? You're right to ask, he said, as if I didn't already know it. There is no plan as such, but I feel it's an unspoken assumption that this would mark the beginning of something new for you. I'd rather hear it as a spoken assumption, Father Loeffler. You've heard it spoken by me, Jared. Won't that do? I wouldn't have minded hearing it spoken by a few other people, but he didn't offer to arrange such a thing, and I didn't want to be churlish about it, so I told him, sure. That was the day before yesterday. Yesterday and today I've spent canceling appointments, parceling out my duties at St. Ed's, making travel arrangements, and bringing this diary up to date. Tuesday, May 14th, Salzburg. If a spy master in Len Dayton or John le Carré sends you to have a look at a man in Salzburg, chances are the man will be found in Salzburg. Real-life spy masters are not as reliable as this. Charles Atterley is not in Salzburg. As far as I've been able to learn in 2 days, he's never been here and isn't expected here. In fact, no one has ever heard of him. Salzburg, however, is very cute and full of old-world charm, and the locals tell me again and again, your friend is probably waiting for you in München. They make it sound as if Munich is packed solid with American friends that have been mislaid in Salzburg, and one of them is bound to be mine. I may as well have a look. Thursday, May 16, Munich. I haven't been able to turn a trace of Atterley here, and I'm beginning to feel rather stupid. I didn't come to Europe prepared to play detective and haven't got a single in anywhere. The following are facts. I wasn't given a deadline. No special urgency attaches to my mission, and I have no idea what to do next. Therefore, I might as well relax and go with the flow for a while, which meant that I slunk into the bar of the hotel, sat down at a table, and ordered a beer. After a few minutes, the barman brought over a bowl full of salted peanuts and said the gentleman at the bar wondered if I was American, and if so, would I object to his joining me. The gentleman at the bar was a spare, bright-eyed person in his 60s. European from the cut of his elderly but very respectable suit. I wondered why he would want to join me if I was